That moment when cold water hits your face and everything inside you suddenly changes. That sharp awareness, that unexpected calm, that quiet slowing of your heartbeat is not just a feeling. It's a powerful biological reflex that has been inside you since birth. In this video, you're going to discover a hidden system in your body that can slow your heart in seconds, calm your mind instantly, and even interrupt panic when nothing else works. Before we dive deeper, make sure you subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you don't miss more informative and life-changing content like this. Now here's something most people don't know. Every human infant born underwater instinctively holds its breath, slows its heart, and redirects blood toward the brain and heart. This isn't something they learn. It's not taught. It's built into the brain from the very beginning. This same reflex exists in seals, dolphins, and every diving mammal on Earth. And the surprising part is, you still have it. It hasn't disappeared. It hasn't weakened. It's still there, fully functional, waiting for the right trigger. And that trigger is incredibly simple. Cold water on your face. You've probably activated it before without realizing what it was. Think about the moment you splash cold water on your face early in the morning. That sudden alertness. Or when you wash your face on a hot day and feel an instant sense of calm. It feels like refreshment, but something deeper is happening. Your heart rate drops, your breathing slows, your body shifts into a different state almost instantly. That is not just a reaction, that is the mammalian dive reflex. This reflex is ancient. It dates back roughly 300 million years, long before humans existed, back to a time when the ancestors of modern mammals lived in water. It is a survival program stored in your brainstem designed to protect you when your face is submerged. And here's what makes it remarkable. It activates in under 5 seconds. The moment cold water touches specific areas of your face, a signal is sent through your nervous system directly to your heart. This signal travels along one of the fastest reflex pathways in your entire body. In fact, it reaches your heart before your conscious mind fully processes what just happened. There is a direct neural connection between the skin on your forehead and the pacemaker of your heart. This pathway crosses only 2 synapses, making it one of the fastest reflex arcs you have. What that means in practical terms is simple. Your heart begins to slow down before you've even had time to think about the sensation. You cannot override this with thought. You cannot stop it with anxiety. It operates below conscious awareness. And that's exactly why it's so powerful. Because it doesn't depend on your mental state. It doesn't require focus, training, or control. It just works. The trigger itself is very specific. It's not just any contact with water. It has to involve certain areas of your face, your forehead, the area around your eyes, and your cheeks. These regions are connected to a nerve called the trigeminal nerve, one of the major cranial nerves in your body. This nerve has 3 branches. One covers your forehead and eyes, another your cheeks, and the third your jaw. But here's the important detail. The reflex is triggered mainly through the upper 2 regions. Cold water on your jaw or chin alone won't produce the same effect. But when cold water touches your forehead and the area around your eyes, the signal is activated immediately. That signal travels to your brainstem, specifically to a region that directly controls your heart through the vagus nerve. And the path is incredibly short. Skin to brainstem to heart. Just 2 steps. This is why the reflex is so fast and so reliable. If you try it yourself, you'll notice something interesting. The moment cold water touches your face, your body reacts before you consciously decide to keep your face there. Your heart rate shifts, your breathing changes. Only after that does your mind catch up and decide what to do next. This sequence is important. Your brainstem acts first, your conscious mind follows. And this order, reflex before thought, is what makes this system so useful, especially in situations where thinking doesn't help. Because when your mind is overwhelmed, when your thoughts are racing, or when anxiety takes over, your conscious control becomes unreliable. But this reflex doesn't rely on conscious control. It bypasses it completely. It goes straight to the core systems that regulate your body. And that's where the real power of this mechanism begins to unfold. Because what it does next to your heart, your blood flow, and your entire system is something most people have never been taught. And once you understand it, you'll start seeing that simple moment of cold water in a completely different way. And once that signal reaches your brainstem, the first system to respond is your heart. This is where the reflex becomes something you can actually feel almost immediately. Within just 5 to 15 seconds of cold water touching your forehead and the area around your eyes, your heart rate begins to slow down. Not gradually, not over minutes, but quickly, noticeably, and without effort. In most people, this drop ranges from about 10 to 25%. That means if your resting heart rate is around 75 beats per minute, it can fall to 60 or even lower in under 15 seconds. In some cases, reductions of 15 to 40 beats per minute have been measured. When the face is exposed to cold water between 10 and 15 degrees Celsius. You don't need to imagine this. You can feel it. There's a distinct shift. Your heartbeat becomes slower, heavier, more deliberate. Your chest feels different. Your breathing naturally begins to deepen without you trying to control it. And along with these physical changes comes something else, a sudden sense of calm. Not the kind of calm you create through effort, not something you build with focus or breathing exercises, but something that arrives on its own. And that's because this calm isn't coming from your thoughts. It's coming from your nervous system. The slowing of your heart is controlled by the vagus nerve, which is part of your parasympathetic nervous system, the system responsible for rest, recovery, and regulation. When this system is activated, your body shifts away from stress and towards stability. Cold water on your face activates this system instantly. This is very different from what happens when you use breathing techniques to calm yourself. Practices like slow breathing, box breathing, or extended exhales also increase vagal activity, but they do it gradually. You have to focus, maintain rhythm, and give it time. Here, the process is automatic. The signal from your face travels through the trigeminal nerve to the brain stem, which then activates the vagus nerve and slows the heart. The entire pathway is direct, fast, and requires no conscious effort. It's like taking a shortcut. Both methods, breathing and the dive reflex, lead to the same destination, increased parasympathetic activity. But the speed is completely different. One takes minutes, the other takes seconds. And that difference matters in real situations, because there are moments when you don't have the ability to focus on your breathing. When your thoughts are racing, your body is tense, and your system is already overwhelmed. In those moments, a fast automatic response becomes far more valuable than a slow controlled one. That's exactly what this reflex provides, but there's something important to understand here as well. This response is not just about calmness, it's part of a much larger survival system. Your body isn't relaxing for comfort, it's shifting into a protective mode. And this becomes even more clear when you look at what happens next. At the same time your heart rate is slowing down, your body begins to change how blood is distributed. This happens through a process called vasoconstriction. Blood vessels in your limbs begin to narrow, reducing blood flow to your hands and arms, and redirects it toward your core, specifically toward your heart and brain. This is not the same as the mild constriction you feel when your hands get cold in winter. That's a local response. This is centrally controlled by your brainstem, affecting your entire body at once. Within seconds, your system starts prioritizing where blood should go. Your fingers may begin to feel cooler, but inside your chest, circulation becomes more focused. Blood is being pulled inward, toward the organs that matter most for survival. This is a coordinated shift. And what makes it unique is that two parts of your nervous system are now active at the same time. Your parasympathetic system is slowing your heart, while your sympathetic system is constricting blood vessels. Normally, these two systems work in opposition, one for rest, the other for action, but here they work together. Your body is not choosing between relaxation and alertness. It's doing something more precise. It's managing resources. It's deciding where oxygen is most needed and adjusting your system accordingly. Blood is being concentrated around your heart and brain. Oxygen delivery becomes more efficient in these critical areas without your heart needing to pump harder. This is why the reflex feels both calming and powerful at the same time, because underneath that calm, your body is actively reorganizing itself. It's shifting into a state designed for survival. And this is only the beginning of what the reflex is capable of doing. And as this redistribution continues, something even more fascinating begins to happen, something most people have never been told about. Hidden just beneath your left rib cage is an organ called the spleen. Most people rarely think about it unless there's a medical issue. But under normal conditions, it plays a very specific and surprising role. Your spleen stores a reserve of red blood cells. Not a small amount, around 200 to 250 milliliters of concentrated red blood cells, which is roughly 8% of your total circulating supply. These cells are fully functional, oxygen-rich, and constantly refreshed by your body. They are not leftovers or waste. They are a maintained reserve, held back and waiting. Waiting for what? Waiting for a signal. And that signal is the same one we've been talking about, this dive reflex. When cold water stimulates your face and the reflex activates, your brainstem doesn't just slow your heart and shift your blood flow. Your brainstem doesn't just slow your heart and shift your blood flow, it also sends a signal to your spleen. The smooth muscle surrounding the spleen contracts, physically squeezing it. And when it contracts, it releases those stored red blood cells into your bloodstream. Within seconds, your blood becomes more capable of carrying oxygen, not because you breathe more deeply, not because you exercise, but because your body released a hidden reserve that was already there. This changes the way you should think about your own physiology. You are not just operating on what is immediately visible. You are carrying backup systems, built-in reserves designed for situations your modern life almost never creates. This system was not designed for comfort. It was designed for survival in environments where oxygen could become limited, like underwater. And even though you're not diving beneath the surface of an ocean, your brainstem doesn't know that. It doesn't interpret your environment in terms of context. It reads signals. Cold water on the face, reduced breathing. These signals match a pattern it has recognized for millions of years. And when that pattern appears, it activates the full response. Your spleen contracts. Your oxygen capacity increases. Your blood is redistributed. All of this happens automatically. You don't feel the spleen contract. You don't consciously notice your blood becoming more oxygen-rich. But the effect is real, measurable, and immediate. Right now, at this moment, your body is holding a reserve of oxygen-carrying cells. They are simply waiting, and a simple trigger, just a few seconds of cold water on your face, can release them. This is not a small adjustment. This is your body activating an emergency system, and it reveals something important about the nature of this reflex. This is not just about calming down. This is a survival override. Everything about this response is designed to prioritize your most critical functions. Your heart and your brain receive more oxygen. The calm you feel is real, but it's a side effect. What your body is actually doing is optimizing itself under pressure. And that's why this calm feels different from the calm you create through breathing exercises or relaxation techniques. Those methods work gradually. They guide your body toward a relaxed state over time. This happens instantly. It arrives fully formed, without effort, without preparation. And if you've ever experienced it, you know it has a different quality. It's sharper, more complete, almost like a switch being flipped. Now, to understand why this system exists in the first place, we need to look beyond humans. In animals that still rely on this reflex for survival, the effects are much more dramatic. Take the example of a diving seal. When a seal submerges underwater, its heart rate can drop from around 80 beats per minute to as low as 15. That's not just slowing down, it's approaching a near suspended state. At the same time, blood flow to its muscles, skin, and digestive system is significantly reduced. These areas are temporarily cut off from oxygen-rich blood so that the heart and brain can receive everything they need. This allows the seal to remain underwater for extended periods, sometimes over an hour, on a single breath. Now here's the important part. The program that allows the seal to do this is the same program that exists inside you. The structure is identical. The trigger is the same. The pathways are the same. The systems involved are the same. The only difference is the intensity. Your body doesn't activate it to that extreme level because it doesn't need to. You're not diving under Antarctic ice. Your brainstem scales the response to match the situation, but the architecture remains unchanged. You are running the same biological program, just at a reduced level, and that realization changes how you see this reflex, because it's not something new. It's not something added or developed recently. It's something ancient. It's been with your species since before humans existed, and it's still there, fully intact. waiting for a signal that modern life rarely provides. But when that signal appears, the system activates exactly as it was designed to. And what happens next takes this even further, because this reflex isn't just a biological curiosity. It's already being used in real-world clinical settings to do something very specific. It can stop panic, and not in a slow, gradual way, but in a direct and immediate way, a way that bypasses everything your mind is struggling with in that moment. To understand why, you have to look at what a panic attack actually is. When panic begins, your body enters a powerful sympathetic response. Your heart starts racing, your breathing becomes fast and shallow, your chest tightens, and your thoughts begin to spiral. The more you try to control it, the worse it often feels. That's because the very system you're trying to use, your conscious thinking, is already overwhelmed. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for reasoning and control, is no longer fully in charge during panic. This is where the dive reflex becomes different. It works beneath your thoughts and breathing. When cold water touches your face, the trigeminal nerve sends a signal directly to your brainstem. This activates the vagus nerve and slows your heart automatically. The reflex does not ask for permission. It is a biological override. The brainstem operates at a more fundamental level than the centers driving panic. It acts like a circuit breaker, cutting through the panic response at its source. It doesn't calm you step by step. It cuts through it. To trigger this, use very cold water. It is a reliable physical way to regain control when reasoning fails. If the water is only slightly cool, the response will be weak. The most effective range is typically between 10 and 15 degrees Celsius, which is close to what you get from a cold tap in most environments. This temperature is strong enough to activate the reflex without triggering an excessive stress response, and that detail is important. If the water is extremely cold, close to freezing, it can trigger what's known as the cold shock response. This includes gasping, rapid breathing, and a spike in stress hormones. That's the opposite of what you want. So the goal is not extreme cold, it's controlled cold. Cold enough to activate the trigeminal nerve, but not so intense that it overwhelms the system. Duration also matters. The reflex begins within about 5 seconds, but it reaches its full effect between 15 and 30 seconds. After about a minute, the response stabilizes and doesn't increase further, so you don't need long exposure. Around 30 seconds is enough to fully activate the system. And there's another factor that can make this even more powerful: breath holding. When you hold your breath, especially after a normal exhale, your brainstem detects a change in your breathing pattern. On its own, this produces a mild version of the dive reflex. But when you combine breath holding with cold water on the face, something interesting happens. The two signals together create a stronger response than either one alone. Your brainstem interprets this combination, cold on the face and absence of breathing, as a sign of submersion. And in response, it activates the full reflex. Heart rate slows further. Blood redistribution becomes stronger. The entire system engages more completely. This combined effect is not just additive, it's amplified, because your brainstem is not evaluating your environment logically. It is matching patterns, and when those patterns resemble submersion, it responds accordingly. Even if you're just standing at a sink, even if you're completely safe. The system activates based on input, not context, and that tells you something important about how your body works. It is not waiting for your conscious understanding. It is responding to signals. And when the right signals appear, even for a moment, it activates a program that has been part of your biology for millions of years. And that leads us to the final layer of this story, because this reflex is not just powerful, it is ancient. Far older than humans, far older than land itself. And once you understand where it comes from, you'll see why it still exists inside you today. And when you trace this reflex back to its origin, you begin to understand just how deeply it is embedded in your biology. This is not a recent adaptation. It is not something developed for modern stress or convenience. The dive reflex is one of the oldest survival programs your body has. Its roots go back approximately 300 million years to a time when the ancestors of all land animals lived in water. Before mammals, before reptiles, before birds, there were aquatic vertebrates, and in that environment, survival depended on managing oxygen efficiently during submersion. The ability to slow the heart, conserve energy, and prioritize oxygen delivery to the brain and heart was not optional. It was essential. That program was built into the brainstem. And when those early vertebrates eventually moved onto land, they carried that program with them. It was never removed from our biological code. Because evolution does not erase survival systems that work, it preserves them. Even if they are no longer used daily, they remain in place, unchanged, intact, and ready to activate when needed. This is why the dive reflex exists not just in humans, but across nearly all vertebrate species. It has been observed in marine mammals like seals and dolphins, where it is used constantly, but also in animals that will never encounter water in their natural environment. Desert rodents, mountain goats, bats. The reflex is still there, not because those animals need it regularly, but because it is part of the core architecture of their nervous system. And the same is true for you. Your brainstem still carries this ancient program. It is not degraded over time. It is not weakened due to lack of use. Unlike skills that require practice, reflexes like this are hardwired. It's not a hack. It's a built-in function that's been with you your entire life. Once you understand this system exists, you realize you don't have to fight your body. You can work with it. And it all begins with something as simple as cold water on your face. This is a signal your body has understood for millions of years. It triggers systems that restore balance automatically, faster than thought. Your heart slows, your nervous system shifts from stress into control, and it happens automatically. It doesn't rely on willpower or training. It doesn't ask you to calm down. It makes you calm. By bypassing the part of your brain that is struggling, it goes directly to the part that still functions under pressure. So the next time you feel overwhelmed or your mind won't slow down, remember this. You don't always have to think your way out. Sometimes the fastest way to change your state is not through effort, but through activation. A simple signal, a reflex that responds instantly, a system that has been inside you from the very beginning. And all it's waiting for is that moment of cold.